What is up, fanboys and fangirls? TV Talk is back!
You know, TV Talk is my favorite thing we do, so I'm really glad it's back.
Really?
Yeah. I've missed it.
You should have said something sooner. We could do it more. We haven't had that water cooler show, I feel like, that we've all been talking about for a while. But
yeah,
maybe we just need to keep this going.
We can just pick shows.
Yeah.
And just do an episode per week.
We haven't done it since Watchmen, right?
Just do a whole,
Oh, good show.
Great show.
That was a great show.
Great show.
Anyways, we are here to talk about Lord of the Rings of Power on Amazon Prime, episode 3 specifically tonight, although I'm sure we'll dive into a little bit of 1 and 2. We do have our full thoughts on episodes 1 and 2 in last week's episode.
Was the episode called Adar?
Yes.
I never look at the episode titles because I'm always just hit that play button.
So, but yeah, episode 3. What are your guys' initial... This is going to be full spoilers.
Okay, I was just going to say.
Full spoilers. Our regular, podcast episode will start at 8:30, so it gives us a nice cutoff time. We can't talk too long about this. So if you haven't watched it yet and you're here for the show, come back at 8:30. We'll send out a reminder tweet. So, spoilers ahead. Luke, Tyler, impressions of episode 3.
Have you seen that Dwayne Wade gif where he's just sitting there and he's like, love it. That's me watching this episode. I loved it. I thought it was awesome. The show continues to quell my fears of what I thought could happen with this.
Mm-hmm.
I feel more and more confident in the direction of the show each episode I watch, which I cannot say the same for everything I've seen recently. So it's refreshing.
Fair enough.
As I said last week, I love all the characters. I think they're all interesting in their own rights, and I don't know. I feel like every show I watch, there's always like one group of characters I don't really care to follow.
Yeah.
And I experienced that a lot with Game of Thrones. But with this, I don't care when we leave a group of characters because I'm so excited to learn what the next group's doing.
Sure.
So it's just refreshing to have a show where all the characters are interesting.
I feel like I should say... I feel like I might have a bias towards this show. I'm 3 episodes in now, and I've loved every second of it. And I love Lord of the Rings. I even really like The Hobbit, with all its flaws. And I feel like I'm at this point where I might just be blinded because it's Lord of the Rings, and I'll just love it no matter what. And you know what? That's okay. I think this show's been crushing it.
Fanboy, baby.
Yeah. Finally fanboying about something, right? I feel like I've been kind of toxic lately.
Luke's been a hater for most of 2022.
I'm back, baby.
Yes.
I'm back.
It's the podcast shirt.
I love this show. I love everything about it, really. I watched it again today. Episode 3. I didn't watch all 3 episodes again today, but
You probably could have.
I probably could. I love the story they're going for, and I got all these theories in my head, even though I don't really know a ton about Lord of the Rings lore.
Maybe we can save 5 minutes for the end for just throw out some theories.
Yeah, I need to shift one of my theories.
I've got a heater.
I heard this theory that Luke's got. It's good. It's a good one.
Okay, I have to shift my theory from last week, so we definitely need to save some time at the end for that.
Yeah.
I think
it feels so good every week to watch Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
agreed.
And I'm so sold on it.
Yeah.
All my fears have been.
I feel like I can breathe. There's nobody sitting on my chest anymore about this show. Because, I was kind of in that don't talk about it mode.
Mm-hmm.
As it was approaching, it's I'm just talk about it. I didn't watch the final trailer or teasers. Just watch it when it comes out. I'm not gonna set the bar too high for myself. And I don't think it would have mattered if I had set a bar. I think it would have passed it. It's just a nice breath of fresh air from the doom and gloom that is every medieval show that's come out recently.
Yeah,
I agree.
A lot of the current medieval shows were kind of in response to what Lord of the Rings and Narnia and Aragon and that kind of high fantasy.
Let's do that, but
high
kill
fantasy
everybody.
did that in the early 2000s, and then it was kind of the counter let's make this for adults and make it gritty and grimy and boobs. And it's kind of nice to see something else. I don't have a problem with it. I love Game of Thrones, but like, yeah, this is, like you said, a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Specifically this episode, I missed Elrond and Durin. I was gonna say Dwalin, and I was like, that's not right. He's from The Hobbit.
Prince Durin.
Yeah, Durin. That said, we got Númenor, so freaking yeah. Great. I think it looks great. I think they've captured the probably late Second Age attitude of those people. If we're doing kind of a condensed timeline of this, that makes sense. You know, they're not quite the maybe the noble and like, yeah, we remember like we just fought this war recently and we're still kind of friends with everyone. Yeah. No, they're kind of on their high horse because they think they're better than everyone else. Mm-hmm. So
classic humans.
Very classic, very human thing. Very human thing indeed.
Question.
Yeah.
Did you watch Arrow?
Mm-mm.
Okay. How long did it take you to realize that the queen was Amanda Waller from Arrow?
It took me 0 time because I knew she was in it.
Oh, see, I didn't. I was like, why do I recognize that lady? And I like pulled up her IMDb page and I was like, oh, wow. This is quite a step up for you.
When she was announced to be in it, I was like, "Oh, it's the Waller from Arrow."
Okay, yeah. I don't remember her announcement, but I thought that was just a funny. Like, I didn't think I'd see people from Arrow in a show like this, but I'll take it. I agree, though. Numenor looked.
I would
awesome.
say, did you have a favorite kind of thread? Because we had the Numenor thread, we had a little bit with the Harfoots, and then we had the Southlands with the elves and the orcs.
The Southlands, aka Building of Mordor?
Yes. Building of Mordor.
Freaking awesome.
Mordor.
So I liked really all of them. I think seeing a story progress, I know.
That's what I've been saying. Yeah, it's so hard to choose.
Yeah.
They're all so good.
Yeah. Oh,
Friend.
The orcs looked so good too.
Yes. They look cool.
Orcs look great.
Yeah, it was like me and Brett were talking a bit before the episode, and like it was so nice to see an actual costume for an orc, to watch people actually act.
Yeah.
Because in The Hobbit, the last time we saw orcs, they were all CG.
Yeah.
Looked plastic. They're out in the sunlight, just doing their thing. And it's just like see them how they're supposed to be felt awesome. Mm-hmm. And just to hear them talk too, like they had that like gross, graggly sound like they do in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
I think my favorite story. Oh, it's tough because I like them all, but I mainly because of the name drops in the Númenor stuff with Galadriel, just really caught me off guard.
Which one specifically?
Well, Elendil first. They said his name, and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" That came out of nowhere. And then, like, not 2 minutes later, we're seeing Isildur on a ship, and I was just like, "I'm so ready to see where this ends because I know where his story ends,
right?
Yeah.
And I want to see him go on that journey, be like a good guy, probably hold the ring, and then go boom. I'm not really a good guy anymore. Well, he's still a good guy, he's just corrupted and selfish. But the moment Elendil's name came up, I was just like, no way. And I was locked in.
Tyler, you have to pick one favorite.
I'll pick away from. I'll pick away from Luke. I actually enjoyed the Harfoots stuff a lot. Just kind of learning about how they operate.
They got some harsh rules.
Yeah, dude, they're brutal, man. But it's how they survive, and I really enjoyed that. Like, I feel like with hobbits, it was always just, you know, kind of
we're lazy and we smoke and we eat.
And like, yeah, and like the Harfoots, like they have a code that they live by and they have a lifestyle that they stick to.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course all the stuff with the stranger who I think as each episode goes on, they just reveal more and more that it is who we think he is.
Yeah.
Just waiting for them to say the name.
I'm kind of surprised we didn't get a little more than this episode, but it was a very small section.
We
of
got the
episode.
only thing we needed, which was friend.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, yep, that pretty much nail in the coffin. I would be very shocked if that's not Gandalf.
Big twist.
It's Billy Bob the Blue.
It's the big twist.
No.
Tom Bombadil.
But no, I'll go with the Harfoots. I really liked their just kind of learning more about who they are. I loved it. Yours?
I think I'd lean towards the Harfoots, but in reality, each one gave me something different. Each story, like Luke was talking about, the Númenor storyline gave me that hype of like, oh my gosh, I know these people, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Harfoot storyline gave me this like immense emotional reaction to like what is family and what does like tribe and people mean, because we have this group that are very like, we're all about survival so much that we'll like leave you behind, but there's this family group that is going to be struggling. We hear what happened to Poppy's family, why she's
rough,
alone.
dude. That was rough.
And then having the stranger come in at the end and be like, friend? Like, oh,
Yeah, and
bonding.
I think the other thing too is it adds stakes to Nori's story. Yeah. Because like prior, it just kind of feels like she can do whatever she wants with no consequence. Because she's not leaving where she is, right? Like she's just kind of with her people, but she's messing with the stranger. And this, it's like, no, look, you keep doing this, you're gonna get your family disbanded from this clan of Harfoot. So like it just adds stakes to her storyline, which at first I thought this was gonna be like a merry band of travelers story, and it doesn't really feel like it's gonna be that.
No.
And I'm okay with that.
Man, something bad is gonna happen.
Yeah.
It is gonna suck.
It's gonna be brutal.
And then
Dad's gonna die.
the third one in Mordor, that third storyline, I think just kind of helps set the stakes for the world.
Yeah.
Like there's a little bit more of despair. It gives you that like, oh, these orcs, they kind of know what they're doing in terms of like being sneaky, and they're able to capture people in small groups, and something is happening. And obviously we learned in the Númenor storyline that like, that symbol is the Southlands. It's Mordor. It's where we know Mordor is going to be, and where Sauron is amassing his forces.
As soon as I finished the episode, I was like, I want to look at the Third Age map. Yeah. So I pulled it up and looked at it. I was like, that sucks. R.I.P. Southlands. But no, I think that storyline too also helps kind of give you a sense, like the transformation of the Southlands gives you a sense of like how close Sauron is. I think like that's like if you're looking at a loading bar, right? Like that transformation of the Southlands is kind of like Sauron moving across the bottom of your screen. Like you know he's coming. Yep. And this kind of gives you more of an idea of where he might be. Yeah. And I really appreciate how they can do that visually without beating me over the head with it. Mm-hmm. Agreed. It's really well written and done. Yep.
Yeah. Plus, the action sequence with those elves was freaking awesome.
It was wild. I was like, whoa, this is a lot.
It was, kind of on that level of original trilogy Legolas. Like him doing things that are like, oh, it's just not quite natural for us because we're humans. We can't move that way.
We can't run and jump off chains like an inch off the ground.
But it's also not like
nice
Legolas like stuff. In The Hobbit, where he's like jumping up the rocks, which in reality he probably could do, but it looked funky.
The only problem with that was it lasted like 10 seconds. Yeah. It's the disbelief and just comes flowing in when it lasts so long. If that would have been boop, 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 done, it would have been perfectly fine. Yeah. Like sliding down a trunk. It's just done.
Mm-hmm. Well, they do it with the chain too.
Yeah, the
like
chain.
Two steps.
Boing.
But like I just thought of it as like this kind of like almost callback to Legolas walking across the snow. Yeah. Yeah. And they're all on the side of the mountain. He's just kind of like cruising. He's like, cool, bro. That's awesome. Like that's kind of how that felt to me. Yeah.
The moment where he gets whipped back and he just grabs the stick and just stabs that orc in the throat. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, it feels like Lord of the Rings has grown up with us a little bit, which is really cool, especially in terms of action.
Dude, that one elf was just getting like devoured.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, yeah. Like I wasn't a huge fan of what they did with the warg, or the proto warg or whatever. It was kind of, I expected it to be a little not so doggish.
It hasn't
Yeah,
gone through its
more wolf.
evolutionary process.
I get
yet.
that. That's whatever. Like, but the action with it was still good.
Mhm.
Like that brutality that you see, because yeah, I didn't think it was scary in the sense that the Two Towers wargs were scary, but it was kind of frightening in that, like, oh, that thing's insane.
Cool
Mhm.
entry scene though.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was like, oh yeah.
Also, a
this is
quiet
nice.
moment in that scene where I keep forgetting his name.
Aaron
Arendor. Arendor.
A reindeer.
He has that moment with the tree. He's a certain kind of elf that has a much deeper connection to the forest than some of the others. That's a deep lore cut that no one is gonna get, but like, it was a nice little, like, okay, like he has this respect for it.
Well, I'm like watching the original trilogy. They don't really ever dive into that.
No,
too much.
they
And so,
don't.
like, yeah, when like if you're not thinking about it and you're just watching it, like turning your brain off, and he's like, "I'll cut it down." You're like, "Okay, dude, cut the tree down, whatever." But like if you're thinking about like who he is, like where he comes from, you're like, "Yeah, that's a big deal."
Yep.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
It's like spitting in the face of your beliefs. So that's just kind of, again, they've done a good job of establishing stakes for each character.
Yeah.
And now Homie is just alone out there.
Yeah.
They all died.
Yep.
Yeah. Dude, when he gets his eyes above the line of the little trench they're in, and like old boy just kind of turns around, I was like, oh man. And you can, and I love like in that shot too, like how far out the orcs are. In that you're like, oh man, they're really just kind of.
You don't catch it, like you don't, because of
they're
how
not
out of
wanting you
focus
to
they
look
are.
at it, yeah.
They're like, you don't realize it until he turns, and then you see them kind of shift a little bit.
Yeah,
And it's
there's
like,
really-
oh, those were the archers.
There's really good like depth in that shot. It's
Yeah.
cool.
It was well shot.
Mm-hmm.
Well shot. So,
I still think the best performance is Galadriel.
mhm.
I love how she takes no crap from anybody. Like Halbrand is trying to sweet talk her, and she's just like, "Shut up! I'm a badass. Everybody, watch out! I'm going to destroy you if you don't let me go."
Yeah.
Like she says her name, they're like, "Oh, frick!"
Yeah. It's like, oh, she's here. This is bad.
Like they even have like the little puppet show going on about her, where she's just killing everybody.
Yep. They know. She doesn't have to say who she is. They just know.
Yeah,
I love it.
and I'm really excited for. I said ass, lol. I did. I'm really excited to see where her and Elendil's
I was gonna say
relationship goes.
that seems like that might be one of the. I wasn't sure if it would be Elendil or Halbrand kind of being that main emotional, like, back and forth, that relationship that she has, and I'm hoping Halbrand's character could grow on me. He's fine. He just hasn't. He just hasn't.
I
done
think
much.
he's
But-
out of everybody in the show. I think he's the weakest.
But like, yeah, I think
Halbrand.
her and him have a great chemistry,
Mm-hmm.
and they have the power dynamic to really work off of each other too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So,
Should I give my theory?
yeah, we can dive
Yeah,
into some
let's-
theories real quick before we finish up. Luke? What's your theory going forward?
Well, I talked about it last week. I said Halbrand is going to be the king of the Southlands, and he's on the run. I got that right. But I have an extension on that.
Mm-hmm.
I read a theory online, and I believed it for about 10 seconds, and that was that Halbrand is going to end up turning into the Witch King of Agmar, who's the leader Ringwraith.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, dang, that might be true. And then I was like, no. He is going to betray everybody and run because he's a coward. His character is a coward. He's keeps running away from all of his problems. He is going to be the king of the undead from Return of the King, who betrays Isildur, says he'll fight, and then doesn't. And
Takes
then
his people.
Yeah.
And Isildur curses
and then
them.
Aragorn later is going to free him.
Yeah.
I think that's who his character is going to turn out to be. I don't know who that king is in lore, but that's my theory.
I love that theory. I think it's way more plausible than him being the Witch King. He
Yeah.
could be another Ringwraith, but the Witch King of Agmar is a little more well known, I think, in terms of who he is.
Yeah.
I think he's
the
Theo's
king
dad.
of Theo's. Halbrand is.
That's where my theory shift comes.
Yeah.
I think that's who his dad is.
I believe that.
I can see that.
I think that's where he ties back into the story.
Well, and he said something this week about having made a blood oath to Sauron, and Theo, when he holds the blade,
it works.
The blood is drawn to it. So
here we go.
Family relation there. Almost confirmed.
Pretty much confirmed. Yeah, that's the shift in my theory.
My theory for this week, I think it's a little out there. I would love it if it was true, but I'm not convinced of it, but I love it. So I'm gonna say it. I think all of these different storylines are happening at different times, Westworld style.
Has seen Westworld?
I've not.
Spoilers for Westworld. So like and Galadriel will be the one who kind of connects them all, but like the reason being is that Sauron is a shapeshifter in lore. So if we're debating about who is Sauron, what if all of these people are Sauron? It's just at different times. Halbrand is someone who's interested in forging.
Yeah.
I wonder who else is interested in forging. Someone who's trying to make a ring to rule them all. Someone who's surrounded by fire that is not hot because it's so the evil has sucked all the heat out. A la The Stranger. Maybe this Arda character. Adar character. Sorry.
Names aren't your strong suit.
We learned that last week, so I apologize.
You'll get there. We believe in you.
So I just think that's an interesting. I'm not sure how plausible it is. I think it makes the show a little more convoluted. But it would maybe solve some of the that happens like in the year 1500 Second Age, and this happens in the year 3400, and rather than doing a really compressed timeline, you could kind of scatter those and then tie them in.
My only fear with that is you can very quickly land in Witcher territory.
No, for sure.
Yep.
For sure.
But
and I don't like that.
But you can also end up in Westworld territory,
which I haven't
there's
seen
a good version, there's a bad version.
I think
and it can go
the benefit with this is that they would use it as a way to conceal the identity of your antagonist versus having your protagonist hop around all these different timelines. I think Galadriel's story is going to be linear and would take us through the timelines.
So we do think Adar is Sauron, right?
I personally don't, but
okay, he's got the cool little glove thing on the gauntlet.
Yes.
Looks
the Infinity Gauntlet?
And it could be.
Sure.
He could be. I don't necessarily know if he would be addressed though in Elvish, which is something that they hint at a little bit. I'm wondering if this is a new character that was maybe one of the elves who helped Sauron create the orcs. So, not because Sauron himself is not an elf.
Yeah, he's a Moor, however you say it.
Yeah,
Meyer, yeah.
Yeah, what they say.
Yeah.
But, okay, real quick before we finish up here.
One of them wizards.
Over in the chat, we have had... What's up, JT? And Nick is here, too. They be talking. Question, does the show have to introduce every ring bearer? Like all of the dwarves, the kings of men, and the three elves?
I don't think so.
No. And I wouldn't expect that in season 1 anyways.
Maybe over time.
I saw someone lay out what they thought might be like the main beats of the 5 seasons they've kind of talked about. And you could use all 5 of those seasons to introduce
over
people,
time.
Yeah. Maybe it's the first 4 and then the 5th season is kind of the war of the original War of the Ring. But we'll know that we'll definitely meet the 3 elves. We've already met 2 of them for sure. I can't even remember who the third one was.
Isn't it Galadriel, Galahad, and...
It's not... Yeah, it's those 2. It's not Thranduil. No,
I have no idea.
I don't know. And no, I don't think I don't think we'll meet all of the 9 realms
Spoilers.
of men or the 7 dwarves, but we'll meet some.
I
of
bet
them.
we'll meet like
meet
2
the
of
big
men,
names.
and the rest will be background
Yeah.
boys.
What do we got, Tyler? You got that info there. The deep cut.
I'm trying to pull it up.
Okay. The 3 rings of power. I should know this. I'm sorry.
The
I
3
don't.
rings for elven kings under the sky.
The Ring Legends of Tolkien. I actually don't think this will even tell me.
Gil-galad.
Yep, so the High King.
I totally messed up his name.
Gil-galad.
I called him Galad.
Galadriel.
Galadriel. Man, I cannot remember who the... It's not Elrond, is it? Maybe it's Elrond.
I thought he
Eventually-
did have one.
I
Who is
don't
in
know.
the picture? Does it have the picture of the elves? Is it Galadriel's like husband lady person? And
No, they're out of focus. The only one that's really visible there is Galadriel. Real quick,
Blonde
does
hair?
anyone in the chat have any theories or any thoughts on episode 3? We're just curious. JT also said he sees a lot of negative Nancy's on the internet and reviews on this. It's almost like people are seeing different shows. I think it's just a matter of taste, and like we said early in the episode,
Elrond inherited one.
okay. I think he may have inherited it from Gil-galad though.
Gil-galad.
Gil-galad.
Narya was first worn by Gil-galad, who gave it to Círdan,
Oh, okay.
and was lastly worn by Gandalf.
Oh, okay. So that's where
Gil-galad
Gandalf gets
also
his.
initially owned Villia, so he actually had 2 before Elrond inherited.
Who does he think he is? The High King?
So Elrond, Galadriel, and Gil-galad really are the 3
Okay.
quote-unquote people who wore the different rings.
Yep. Okay.
We've met 2 of those people already.
Yes. Yeah, I think kind of like we were talking about earlier in the episode, I think it really comes down to taste. A lot of people are used to kind of that grittier fantasy
Bucky's theory.
show.
Solid.
So it's just a little different than that. Game Lord Master in the chat, I think there's going to be something about rings.
no way.
Hot take.
I don't think so.
I love it.
That's the worst theory I've ever heard.
No.
I think that's, you might be onto something there.
It's a safe bet. If I were putting money on it, I think it'd probably land.
Do you guys have any? You guys don't know the. You guys know the lore enough to have like a prediction of where this season ends yet? You think? How about this? What do you hope to see in episode 4? What do you hope to see next?
Um,
More happiness for me, which is just sitting down to watch it.
I mean, it kind of comes from the trailer that plays when the show is over, but I think we're gonna learn there's a lot of deception going on in Khazad-dûm. That because that place is going to get wrecked. It's going to get absolutely destroyed. And like in the trailer, they're even like, we've been digging in the old mines. And it's like, don't do that, bud. You're going to, and I'm pretty sure I know what happens, but
You should, yes. If you've seen Lord of the Rings, you should know what happens. You should know what they find down there. And it's not the heart of the mountain.
it's the butthole of the mountain.
Game Lord Master wants the Gandalf reveal.
Yeah,
I think that seems like a safe place for it, being the mid-season.
midway through this first season. Yeah, I think you're right. I think if they play it out too much longer, I'm starting to get nervous that it's not,
yeah.
and then which again is fine. I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but I'll start being suspicious.
Something I think I'm ready for is I don't need like full scale like Battle of the Bastards or something, but a battle of some
battle.
kind.
I think
like
you'll get that with Arendir's character.
yeah, or maybe like the dwarves getting absolutely slapped silly by a Balrog.
Yeah. Yes.
And then ending it on some sad Gandalf just died music or something.
Over in the chat, Maddie Monster says, "I don't want the stranger to be Gandalf. I'm curious.
Ooh, who do you want it to be?
Who do you want it to be? Yeah,
That's a fun idea.
I don't have anything against that theory. I just think it's where they've been leaning. So I'm curious who you might think that would be. So yeah, I think for episode 4, I'm hoping for Yeah, maybe a little more. They've done a good job of building on the action in each episode, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, if we got kind of a little skirmish in this one, I'm hoping for something that's...
Dude, the opening of the entire show and that dragon just rips apart that eagle.
Mm-hmm.
I want something like that. That was so cool. Just fly.
That was like the ultimate. This is why they didn't do
So
that.
like, I guess we're putting that complaint to bed.
Yeah. Oh, also, Lepke, Game Lord Master, I want Númenor to get wrecked. F those people.
I do too.
And then
They're mean.
JT, I want to see corrupted elves. Would be cool to see that. Well, I
think you'll get that sooner.
I think we'll get that sooner than you think. Yeah. I think that's if not a completely corrupted, we'll start seeing certain actors, not bad as in performance bad, but Sauron being a bad guy, weave some deception in and start working his. I don't know how much Sauron we're actually gonna get this season though. So
he'll probably be the sizzle at the end.
That's what I'm guessing.
If it's not next week, if it's not this dude that we're about to see.
Yeah. All right. I think that wraps up our TV talk for this week. This will be a separate video on YouTube. And obviously you can check out our kind of episodes 1 and 2 talk over there as well. Also on the podcast. So we are going to transition over to our next proper episode of the What the Fanboy podcast. So let me just...
Podcast?
He's struggling.
It's a power cast.
It's a podcast.
Welcome to the Powercast on Twitch.tv.
You need like a metal. Put it and drop the instrument. We're going.